We binged Ginny and Georgia's second season and then scoured the internet for any sort of crumb about what's to come in season 3.
Very impressive.
We've got a lot to say about that brutal cliffhanger, the brilliant improv, and Georgia's wedding dress they had to literally change venues for because it was so gargantuan. There's a scene in season 2 that was written to directly parallel a scene from season 1.
Marcus was taking care of Maxine when she was drunk.
Sleep on your side. Come on. Thank you.
So in season 2, Maxine gets to take care of Marcus, and the actors had a great time with these scenes, not only because Felix Mallard got to play drunk, but because at least half of that scene was improv.
50% of that was us just goofing around and being nutballs.
There was a ton of improv on this show, especially during those scenes where everyone was all together, particularly in Brody's basement. Felix Mallard was shook over just how good everyone was at improv and staying in character.
It's almost scary that like when we do huge scenes like that, it's like you'd never know anyone was acting.
The atmosphere is just so lighthearted because the cast hangs out a lot outside of work, but that fun and natural dynamic between them can occasionally get in the way on set. So take this scene, for example, that took more than 5 takes to get right.
Oh, Ginny, I'm dark and gloomy and colors hurt my eyes.
Antonia Gentry struggled with this one because she was supposed to be mad, not cracking up the entire time.
I just kept laughing, and it took like 5 takes before I was like, all right, stop.
And this was actually a pretty common problem for the whole cast. Laughing was happening pretty much all the time. We'll talk more on those jokes later, though. So, take a look at what they're doing between these countless takes. This isn't even the first time we've seen actors do this TikTok challenge in their downtime before. Sara Weisglass and Diesel La Torraca couldn't resist giving the tortilla slap challenge a try. Honestly, Diesel kind of went in on Sara. Did you hear that slap? Oh, we gotta talk about this finale. Did you know that they've had it all planned out since day 1? They've even put the dominoes in place to fall for season 3. Austin is definitely gonna be going through it all in the upcoming season. That trauma is heavy. What do you think about Gil being more involved with the kids? The show's creator, Sarah Lampert, said, "There is potential for a lot of story in season 3 because I think it is clear that while Gil is an abuser, and he is not someone that we want around our characters that we love at the same time, I do think it is true that he loves his son." They also purposely left out Cynthia's reaction to Georgia's arrest because they know people are definitely going to be seething with curiosity about it.
What are you gonna do?
You could do a lot.
We're also pretty curious about what's going on in the prop department. Let's take this classroom scene and pick it apart for a second. Do you notice how the desks are set up like a normal classroom for the opening moment? Whose job is it to silently pull the desks out of the way for that close-up? And how does one apply for that position? Feel free to answer that in the comments. Thanks. Besides slapping each other with tortillas, we've noticed a theme that performers love to sing and dance behind the scenes. Even masked up for COVID, you can't hold back the footwork. The good vibes don't just stop there, though.
And I'm gonna make a toast. We're gonna hold it for the show! For the show!
And here's a little throwback with some TLC dance choreography in there. So, there was a ton of singing and dancing behind the scenes, which brings us to another important topic. Sing, sing. The real question we had was, is it an actual musical? The answer is no, but we did find out that it was based on Chicago. Apparently, Sara Weisglass was already prepared for her lead role in the show's musical, as she unabashedly admits on Instagram that she usually performs cell block tango alone in her bedroom. Who else was blown away when they saw Georgia's wedding dress? The thought behind the blue hue of it was because after more than one marriage, Georgia would never wear a white dress again. There had to be a particular look in mind when costume designer Julia Patkos put this dress on her. Can you guess what it was?
Georgia,
The look was based on Cinderella's ball gown. The title of the episode? I'm Not Cinderella. We definitely don't recall Cinderella getting arrested in front of the entire town. So what are your season 3 theories? Let us know in the comments. Alright, so we're not quite done with this dress. This thing actually caused a lot of difficulty when it came to shooting the wedding scene. For one, Julia Patko says it took over 150 hours to make. It took up the entire fitting room and 4 people had to hold it to move it. And they also had to change the location of the wedding because of that. They had to move to a larger space with an aisle that could accommodate a dress that size. We had a full crane shot just to capture the dress. And of course, Georgia needed a costume change for the reception. Not just because we couldn't fit the cameras around the other dress when she was dancing, but also because no way would Georgia have only one wedding dress. And how about that shootout? We're talking about the scene where Austin continues his trek into childhood trauma.
Mom! Dad!
And that scene, not too funny in the show, but behind the scenes was pretty hilarious.
There was like a lot of weird ad-libbing during that. You wait there.
Honestly, we're happy to hear the tension was pretty thin.
He was approaching too fast and I don't know.
It was too slow.
The tension in this one, though, super thick. Even behind the scenes.
Don't do that. Don't pretend like you're doing this for me because I don't want this.
Antonia Gentry and Felix Mallard had a tough time with this one, especially due to the fact that Felix wouldn't speak to Antonia before they did the scene. Considering that the two are really good friends outside of work, this was not an easy day.
He was real mean to me the whole day. Wouldn't speak to me. And it made me sad.
Aw, we're on a roll right now with these tense moments, so let's just talk about Georgia sneaking off to tuck Tom in for, well, ever. This was an intense scene for Brianne Howey to film.
Seeing Georgia make that decision
Yeah.
was, like, brutal.
Imagine shooting it, you guys.
But as always, something hilarious seems to come out of it.
Got my appendix out when I was in the hospital. My dad did this scene with me.
Alright, you know those Hannah Montana transition vocals?
I'm Hannah Montana. Me, Miley.
Yeah, the cast does those in between takes. Diesel started it, and it took off with everyone else.
We're standing on the side like, ooh, whoa, yeah.
So apparently, it wasn't a lot of downtime, but nonetheless, that's what Antonia and Brianne would get into when they had some.
I would order McDonald's like every day from Uber Eats.
It was also super cold at the time, so they were like constantly huddled around the heaters.
I mean, I don't think we were very healthy.
So considering how tense and dramatic this show can be,
I guess a desire to do bad things.
we were excited to find out how much fun this cast had behind the scenes.
It's like there's just like an energy and we
Yeah.
just can't stop making each other laugh.
It's also kind of impressive just how much improv and ad-libbing happened in scenes we would never even know about. So what was your favorite behind the scenes moment?